Have you ever looked at your own body and felt that something simply didn't belong? Like a part of you was foreign, an intruder in your own skin? Now imagine living with the intense and persistent desire to amputate a healthy limb. Not out of madness, but because your mind is convinced that your body is wrong. Welcome to the disturbing and almost unbelievable world of BIID, body integrity identity disorder. At first glance, it may sound absurd. Why would someone want to remove a perfectly functional arm or leg? But for those who suffer from BIID, the desire is real, constant, and deeply rooted in their sense of identity. These individuals feel that a part of their body shouldn't be there. It's not hatred, nor an aesthetic problem. It's a conflict between body and mind, and no amount of therapy, medicine, or logic can erase the certainty they carry, that they were born incomplete, or worse, in the wrong body. This is the story of those who wake up every day wanting to be whole. The first reports of this condition emerged in the 1970s, but the phenomenon became more widely known after a controversial article published in the late 1990s by neurologist Michael First. He brought attention to people who, despite being mentally lucid and intellectually healthy, were willing to go to extreme lengths to amputate healthy limbs. Some used prosthetics to simulate an amputation. Others placed themselves in dangerous situations, hoping to lose a limb accidentally. And there are those who went even further, performing the amputation themselves, or paying someone to do it, all to align their physical body with the mental image they had of themselves. But how widespread is this disorder? According to a study conducted in Germany in 2014, the number of people affected by BIID is estimated to range between 1 in 100,000 and 1 in 1 million inhabitants. While the numbers may seem small, considering the relatively recent discovery of the disorder, experts believe that many cases remain hidden or misdiagnosed. After all, who would voluntarily choose to live without a limb unless they absolutely had to? Imagine waking up in the morning, looking down and seeing a perfectly normal leg when your mind screams that it should not be there. That contradiction generates a suffering that goes beyond physical pain. It's a daily torment. Those who experience BIID don't just want to amputate, they need to do it. The unwanted limb becomes an obsession. You can't stop thinking about it. It's always there, even when you try to focus on other things. Amputation is not a fantasy or a passing whim. It's a necessity, a way to finally be whole. If you think this is a rare case, think again. One of the most famous cases is that of a man who became known as Joe. Joe began to manifest symptoms of the disorder at age 6. He was obsessed with a car accident he witnessed where a man lost both legs. As he grew older, his fascination only intensified. Already an adult, he decided to take action. Joe bought a car, crashed it, and severed both his legs. He survived, but without his lower limbs. However, his problems did not end there. After the accident, he experienced phantom pains, sensations of the missing limbs still being present. This led him to undergo several surgeries to have his remaining tissues removed, which caused him to develop what is known as neuroma. This is a mass of nerve fibers that can form after an amputation. The condition worsened Joe's suffering. The pain was unbearable, and he started taking painkillers. To make matters worse, he developed another serious health complication: urinary incontinence. In short, Joe traded one problem for another, but none of that made him give up on his goal of completing the amputation. Another case that gained worldwide notoriety was that of a woman identified only as Amanda. Living in Australia, she suffered from dysmorphia. She hated her left leg. She said it was like having a parasite attached to her body. The obsession took over her life. She spent all her spare time researching ways to remove the limb, until she came up with a plan. She decided to simulate an amputation using a prosthetic. Her plan worked. Amanda managed to convince her doctors that she needed a prosthetic because she had cancer. The doctors agreed to the procedure, but the woman never revealed her true intentions. Soon after the surgery, she returned home with a prosthetic leg, but neighbors soon noticed that something was strange. They saw her dragging the leg around the house, so they alerted the authorities. When the police entered the house, they found out that the woman had cut off her own leg. How did she do it? Using a kitchen knife, she amputated her leg while watching videos on YouTube. And these are just two of many similar cases. It seems absurd to us because we can't understand why anyone would want to be incomplete. But for those who suffer from BIID, it's not a choice, it's a compulsion. A person with BIID does not accept their body as their own. They are convinced that their body is not really theirs. That part of them is alien, whether it is the right half of their torso, an arm, or a leg. For example, a person with apotemnophilia desires to have an arm amputated. Hemiplegia involves wanting half the body removed, while abdominal phantomia is the desire to have the stomach removed. The desire to be incomplete is not new. There are records of people with BIID throughout history. One of the oldest documented cases was that of a man named Clodius. He lived in ancient Rome and wanted to have his balls cut off. But what motivates such behavior? The answer is complex and not fully understood. Some studies suggest that the brain's parietal lobe, responsible for processing the sense of body image, may play a role. In MRI scans, some individuals with BIID show abnormalities in this region, particularly in the right superior parietal lobule. It's as if the brain doesn't fully recognize the unwanted limb as part of the body. That feeling of foreignness leads to discomfort, rejection, and ultimately, the obsession with amputation. For others, BIID is linked to childhood experiences. There are reports of people who, as children, were fascinated by amputees or immobilized individuals. Over time, this fascination turns into identification. They don't just admire or feel empathy, they believe they should also be like that. The disorder then becomes part of their identity. But let's put ourselves in the shoes of those who suffer from BIID. Imagine living in a body that doesn't feel like yours, with a limb that doesn't belong. Imagine how overwhelming that feeling must be. It's a feeling of not belonging to oneself, of living with a mistake that cannot be undone. It's a feeling of isolation, of being different from everyone else. It's a feeling of despair, of not knowing how to escape that situation. In fact, people with BIID tend to feel very isolated. They avoid social contact because they feel misunderstood, judged, and pitied. They feel different and alone in a world that does not understand them. They feel like they do not belong anywhere, neither in the company of able-bodied people nor with amputees. They feel like they are suspended between two worlds, belonging to neither. Body integrity identity disorder is not insanity. These are not crazy people. These are people who have a genuine and understandable desire to be whole. Their feelings are real. Their pain is real. Their suffering is real. They are not to be pitied. They are to be understood. They are not to be feared. They are to be respected. We must learn to look beyond the differences that separate us and recognize the humanity that unites us. In the end, BIID is a reminder that we do not know everything about the human brain and psyche. It is a challenge to our understanding of normality and abnormality, to our perception of what is possible and impossible, to our compassion and empathy. It is a call for us to open our minds and hearts to those who are different from us, to those who we do not understand, to those who we fear. It is a plea for tolerance, respect, and acceptance of those who live in a world that does not always accept them. If you liked this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more mind fragments, where we reveal what many prefer to ignore. Thanks for watching. See you next time.